Welcome back, everyone, to the American Pundits. This is your 2016 edition of the American Pundits. So we have some great stuff for you today. We got Trump, Bernie Sanders, Sarah Palin, and what else? The White Oscars. The East Coast is not the only thing that's becoming a whiteout. The Oscars is right around the corner. Right here on the American Pundits. Welcome back, broadcasting live from the American Pundits on WSUM 91.7 FM Madison, right here in Madison, Wisconsin. You can check us out on youtube.com/theamericanpundits, facebook.com/theamericanpundits, or email us at americanpundits.com or americanpundits@gmail.com. How's everyone doing today? We have our same great hosts, same great pundits.
We have an email account now?
We've always had an email account. Yeah.
Oh, Justin's going to get some trash emails from me.
Jenna. Exactly. It's from Jenna, not anyone who listens, but it's Jenna. We are from the WSUM studios, but we are not associated with WSUM anymore. So, but still support your local student station.
We don't have to read the disclaimer anymore?
No.
Oh, wow.
We are off grid. We can do whatever.
Off the grid.
Free range. We want.
YouTube is officially off the grid.
So this week we had the National Review come out with a huge article bashing Trump for not being a conservative, and they make some great points. I know, Kyle, you read the article. What was your thoughts on it right away?
Well, my first thought was I kind of chuckled to myself as a history major because the title Against Trump, that is a throwback to Cicero's diatribes against Mark Antony back in, way your Roman times after the assassination of Julius Caesar. Cicero gave a bunch of speeches against Mark Antony. Their name escapes me right now, but they're also titled like against Antony, and then there was earlier speeches Cicero gave, and Cicero, if you don't know, is a very famous Roman Republican politician, believed very strongly in the Roman Republic, as opposed to supporting the imperial tendencies of like Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, or Octavian, and it got him killed. But Cicero issued a bunch of speeches against candidates, and they usually were just simply titled like against so and so, against Mark Antony, against his name escapes me right now. It's been a semester since I've taken Roman history, so I thought that classical throwback was really cool. I appreciate it.
I wasn't expecting the classical throwback commentary, but okay. I mean, the article starts out just in the second paragraph of all the things that he's flip-flopped on since he's been here.
Well, I mean, it's 100% correct, I think, to say Trump is the most liberal Republican in the candidacy right now. He's the most liberal Republican running for
Congress. His
Republican.
and Clinton's economic plans, they're very similar.
Anything that's not a hot
even Bernie Sanders.
Oh gosh, yeah. Everything that's not a hot button issue, Trump is more liberal on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you see, it's interesting because maybe one could even argue that a Trump presidency would be good in the sense of you have a liberal Republican in office then, and then compromise would be more likely to happen.
I don't
which
think
is why
compromise
I don't want him to
with
win.
Trump is ever
Well,
going to
right,
happen.
and I mean, even we had Mitt Romney, who is more of a liberal Republican than you would say a conservative, more a bigger government Republican, and he wasn't elected. So
he was really old, though.
Also, he couldn't get the
Trump's older than
evangelical
him.
vote.
Really? He looked super old.
No, Trump's not that old. Remember the doctor's report. He's in pristine medical
health.
condition.
Pristine health.
I love how, and then
69.
the hospital he worked at is like, no, we didn't even look at it.
It's interesting, though, you bring up Mitt Romney. A lot of people believe that the reason why Mitt Romney lost the election against Barack Obama in 2012 was because, being a Mormon, he did not mobilize the evangelical vote. A lot of evangelicals believe that Latter-day Saints are occultists, that's a cult. And there's a lot of friction between the Mormon community and the mainstream Christian community. And it's interesting because I figured Trump would have the same problem. Trump is very obscene kind of guy. His wife posed for Playboy. He's been married 3 times. He doesn't necessarily stand for what you'd consider, moral majority values. Yet I've been fascinated to see, a lot of evangelical leaders suddenly, for whatever reason, support Trump. Jerry Falwell Jr., who, if you don't remember, your early 90s history, started the Moral Majority, was kind of the leader for the Moral Majority, and is the president of Liberty University, the largest Christian university.
Right, and he was crazy about him.
Yeah.
His intro speech was just nuts.
Yeah, and then Willie Robertson, the Duck Dynasty guy, believe it or not, Duck Dynasty, the Robertson family, is considered like a touchstone, a herald of Christian culture in America. And the fact that he's supporting Trump, that kind of...
Willie is?
Willie is.
Well, Phil's supporting Cruz, though.
Yeah, his dad is supporting Cruz, which I think is interesting. But
I'm surprised Willie did that. Because usually that clan is pretty tight-knit.
They're tight, but they do have differing opinions. Like when Phil got in trouble for his comments in Esquire magazine, the Robertsons supported him, but they also said we wouldn't have put it in that manner. So there is a bit of disconnect between the patriarch and the rest of the family. Not to get into your Duck Dynasty gossip here.
Here's the thing. So
You keep track of the Duck Dynasty closely.
Actually, I don't
Kyle?
follow it that much. It's good for, there's nothing on TV. Oh, Duck Dynasty, that's always...
It's a good show
They
to
always
watch.
intrigue me, as a family. They're, just very unique. But, oh, yeah.
Such a mix of high-class and low-class
Yeah.
American cultures.
You said you were talking about, Trump as, not the traditional president. And I think it's very interesting he's been so successful in the Republican, campaign as, I feel like Republicans and, all Americans value this idea of, the presidential figure. And we have an idea of what a president looks like and acts like and his family looks like and acts like. And you see it over and over again if you look at our past presidents. And Trump does not fit almost any of those categories.
No, yeah, very much so. And there was something really interesting in the a different article I read, not the National Review article. It was talking about this 2016 campaign is one of the worst campaigns for presidency we've ever had. And no matter who wins, it's going to be nasty in the general election. I don't think we've seen anything yet in terms of nastiness. Hillary wins, you're going to have Monica Lewinsky, stuff everywhere.
Oh, yeah, they will not be kind to Hillary.
No one will
And
be
the other
kind.
thing
the
is
media,
Everyone's
yeah.
got a ton of stuff.
Well, and the media has attacked Trump at all. Very conservative media has, but not at all any of the mainstream media has really attacked Trump yet. It's even in some of his speeches, he's like, oh, the media kind of likes me. That's a trick you don't want to be in.
Well, and I think that the very interesting thing is Barack Obama ran on the idea of hope. Yeah. Barack Obama ran on the idea hey, stuff is messed up in Washington. Stuff is not going great for us. We're going to change it. I think it's very telling that this election, the theme of hope is not part of it. Yeah, Trump is saying make America great again, but this is a gutter fight. This is a down and dirty in the alleyways, This is not an election that's inspiring hope. There is not the kind of Barack Obama, man, maybe we could actually make a change. This is a dirty, dirty election, and it'll be interesting to see how that affects voter turnout.
I think Trump has made it a dirty eletion, to be quite honest.
And then everyone
I
else
think
following
everyone
suit,
has
trying to
made it.
catch up
You
with
just
him.
look at
Right,
the
BC gets all the
Republican
media.
debates and you see them go after Clinton time and time again. I don't think it was just Trump. It's been a dirty election.
Well, I think it's also
from
been a
the
dirty
beginning.
election on the Democrat side. I don't think Bernie's thrown a lot of mud because that's not who Bernie is. But I think you see a lot from the Hillary campaign
Hillary has
now.
started to throw a lot of mud at Bernie as she's
yeah.
addressed that he's becoming a problem in a way that she never expected it. And so she started attacking his healthcare.
And it backfired on her
It-
because he got a ton of donations.
He made
from it.
$1.4 million
That happens with Cruz
overnight
every time
whenever.
Trump does it too.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, how Cruz is kind of faded. I thought that Cruz had the momentum to kind of go the distance now. I thought, oh, finally, we've got an alternative to Trump. But,
Why do you think he's faded?
well, I can just be personally, I'm not as excited about Cruz as I once was. I'm going to reference specifically the ad he came out where it was a picture of Barack Obama in tactical gear saying that he's coming to take your guns. That is something that's throwing red meat to the
But
face.
that wasn't an
sure.
ad. That was to get money.
Well, okay.
That's a little different.
It's a little different, but albeit it's
You
to
can
throw red
look
meat
at
to the
some
to
of
the base,
Cruz's ads, and they have been kind of weird and uncomfortable. The SNL ad freaked me out. I didn't like it at all. It made me very uncomfortable.
I thought it was funny.
I didn't think it
Cruz-
was funny at all. It was not
Cruz makes me
satire.
uncomfortable just to begin with.
He's
I don't-
not a cool guy. He's just weird.
I really like the fact that he's an idealist, But I also don't like the fact that it's where we would be electing someone, and this is something the National Review article brought up. We'd be electing someone to Washington with the express interest in not getting anything done in Washington.
That's not true.
But I feel like because I recently over break I read The Strenuous Life by Theodore Roosevelt and had a lot of really great political insights into it.
You're such a nerd.
Dealing with we don't teach the great books here at Madison, so I got to get it somewhere. So one of the things he was talking about reform, and he was like, it's more dangerous to be so idealistic you refuse to compromise as it is to be so efficient that you're utterly corrupt. Because corrupt people still get something done, but idealists end up tearing down their own positions by saying, "Oh well, you're not idealistic enough."
Yeah,
and
but
I can
Ted
see
Cruz.
that point.
But if you look at it with Ted Cruz compared to Ron Paul, I mean, he plays it very, very differently. And I understand what you're saying, but I think there's enough of a conservative movement. Because if you look at John McCain had a big point. You know, when the stock market was all down. A reporter came up to him.
that one time we had repression.
What? No,
Recession.
this last week this happened.
Recession.
You can say there was repression too, but
well, it was repression. It was a recession.
we'll talk about that in a later segment.
Anyway, a reporter came up to John McCain this last week when the stock market was down 500 points.
Oh
or what
yeah,
have
yeah.
you.
It's been a bloodbath.
And he was like, "Okay, you are not a finance major." You look at it.
I watch.
It was fine.
It was pretty gross. I don't know what you were looking at.
I mean, it looks bad, but I think
it's
not. It's gonna bounce back.
It's a small thing right now. It's anyway.
No, I mean, yeah, it's not long term.
All right.
What did the reporter? What was the quote?
Anyway, John McCain said, "Look who's president." He said he blamed President Obama on the stock market mess, which is completely just bogus. Because if you think about it, the Republicans have more power in all of governance throughout the United States, to be able to just. I mean, it's really not the government's fault at this point, what's going on. I mean, you could do Fed rate and low interest rates. That's a whole other issue. But I think it's interesting because you said how Ted Cruz is so divisive. But then you have John McCain that comes out like that and says, "Oh, look who's president. That's why the market's 500 points down." I mean, this is what we're kind of sick of in the people who are conservative in the Republican Party, because you have people like John McCain who have all this power to do stuff. We have the House and Senate. We can get things done, yet we always feel like we have our hands tied behind our backs.
Well, first off, I'd like to make the point. Someone write it down that Justin is not blaming Barack Obama for a problem in our country.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. I was really.
What happened?
I
I
was
thought
really
You
happy.
might have thought that could have slid, but
I mean, we're
going to take note of that. But
this is the worst recession recovery ever.
What
So
happened?
there's that
What happened
issue.
on your winter break?
someone checking for a Bernie tattoo. Anyways, but to get back to the point, there is this idea that why can't Congress do anything? But I think that we look at the current Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. I think Paul Ryan is doing a really good job trying to compromise and trying to just pass legislation and get stuff through. Because I think there's a lot of people who are crucifying
but
him
Paul
in the
Ryan's
conservative
different.
movement.
I know, but Paul Ryan's different than your old guard John McCain.
Hey, you guys got Obamacare repeal through, so there
Which
you
is
go
good.
for that.
It's good.
Wow, good job.
That's all we want you to do is to do the things we elected you in to do.
I mean, but to be fair, I think that, and this is one of the funny things about this country, and I think that our two resident liberals really couldn't disagree. If the Republicans take a stand on a hill, it's divisiveness in Washington. If the Democrats take a stand on a hill, it's
for the little
Republicans
guy.
not working with the
Yes,
Democrats.
it's so true.
I mean, I think
Every
that's
time.
fair,
Every
right?
time.
You seen? Okay, so
it's
how
it's
it's
always
seen is
framed that way.
okay,
It's
seen as
always
that way.
framed that way.
I mean, whether it's true or not is a different argument. But, I mean, Barack Obama repeals something. It's the Republicans not working with the president. The Republicans, not wanting to pass something. It's, division. And it doesn't help that the Republicans have used the sequester as a nuclear option and past,
over and over and over.
past cycles. But, I mean, I don't know.
All right, we're getting way too much.
Wait,
depth
I have a
with
question for you
things.
guys.
What?
Do you think the Republican Party would be more upset over a Cruz or a Trump presidency? As a candidate. I don't think they would like either.
I think they would like Cruz more.
No.
Really?
I think the Republican establishment would like Trump more.
I mean, you could say that in the sense of that he has like more centrist policies, but I would also say that Trump, if elected, if the nominee is and might destroy the Republican Party. I mean, when you
Yeah, I was
think
gonna say
about
this
it.
whole
Yeah.
article
Right.
talks about his
It's
like liberal.
interesting.
You sure that they would like?
But I feel like he would be Trump's going to be way different in the presidency than what he is now. I think Cruz, like what he says now he will do in the presidency, I think Trump will fold.
Fold in the presidency.
Like as, whatever the Republican,
I mean,
this
it's
guy
my hope that
says,
he
I'll do
doesn't
that.
get,
Yeah,
he
sure.
doesn't get to the steps of the.
And then
White
he'll say,
House,
immigration, we can't really get that far, so we'll just do this.
You mean we can't build a wall?
and make Mexico pay for it.
I don't think so. But
That's
we're
the
getting way
National
too
Review
depth in
article.
content. Sarah Palin introduced or endorsed Trump, and we have some highlights, some clips.
Oh, joy.
So listen to this.
Well, and then funny, not funny. But now what they're doing is wailing, well, Trump and his trumpeters, well, they're not conservative enough. Oh, my goodness gracious. What the heck would the establishment know about conservatism? How about the rest of us? Right-wing and bitter clinging proud clingers of our guns, our God, and our religions and our Constitution tell us that we're not red enough? Yeah, coming from the establishment, right. And now, though, to be lectured that, well, you guys are all sounding kind of angry is what we're hearing from the establishment. Doggone right we're angry, justifiably so, yes. They stomp on our neck and then they tell us, just chill, okay, just relax. Well, look, we are mad and we've been had. They need to get used to it. This election is more than just your basic ABCs. When we're talking about no more Reagan-esque power that comes from strength, power through strength, well, then we're talking about our very existence. So no, we're not going to chill. In fact, it's time to drill, baby, drill down and hold these folks accountable. Yes, the status quo has got to go. Otherwise, we're just going to get more of the same. And with their failed agenda, it can't be salvaged. It must be savaged. And Donald Trump is the right one to do that.
Did she
Do you have her
decide to do some rhymes?
pussyfooting quote? She says pussyfooting.
Oh, no, I don't have that one right here, right now, but Kyle, defend.
I can't defend. I liked Sarah Palin before this came out, but I don't know. This is a
At what
good
point
example.
she was your VP nominee. Just
to John McCain.
I was 12 years old. I don't endorse that. Less than 12. 13, oh.
The picture of John McCain and Sarah Palin still proudly sits inside the chocolate factory at Cedarburg where they made a campaign stop.
Oh, yes. I heard about that on my tour of Cedarburg.
I mean, we're electing a commander-in-chief, not a savager-in-chief. I mean,
I don't get the drill baby drill thing.
Wait,
I was
did you
like,
say
a famous quote.
what is going on?
You liked Sarah Palin even before this.
I thought Sarah Palin was
I
fine.
thought she was
and
fine.
I
That's
hated.
all I ever thought.
hated how
I never-
everyone
I really knew it-
destroyed her. Like I hated
Right.
how everyone just always was just railing on her and saying terrible things about her family and her children. And I thought that was.
I thought she was
That-
weird.
that's
but,
a little
right,
unfair, but
right.
her ability to lead, I think that's fair game, and just
Her ability to lead?
her ability
on
to
the
lead,
other
and her
end?
just her
I don't know.
just how she comes off is not great.
Well, she
ever.
didn't come across very well here. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
And this is not the first time, at least that I.
I just why were there so many catchphrases?
My
MC,
gosh.
MC Palin on the mic
Yeah,
here.
so rhythmic. like everything rhymed. Did you notice that?
It's like she sacrificed content for rhyming, though. It was
I
like that
mean-
was the problem.
Come on.
Well, I mean, she's endorsing Trump. Like, what content is there to
Is
stand
she
on?
employed
Fair
right now? I know
content.
she's not the governor of Alaska anymore. What is she?
No.
What is her job?
Well, she
right
did
now?
reality show. I mean, believe me, she has speaking fees. She has plenty of money.
Does she still have that house where she can see Russia from it?
Well, obviously.
I love
love to just-
SNL's. I mean, it's a little unfair that they just completely railed on her, but the SNL stuff with her is just golden.
Oh, of course.
It's golden.
And conservatives can take a laugh, but once we make a joke about a liberal,
Come on,
Although
guys.
Hillary Clinton has been pretty roasted in SNL as well.
Oh,
Not
that
as
is
bad as
so
Sarah
true.
Palin.
Are
Not
you
as bad as
joking
Sarah
me?
Palin.
They
do you think
they
SNL
have
would rather
dressed up
support
people
Bernie?
like Clinton for like years and years and years. Clinton has constantly been
And
a
if
dad.
she, and if she,
She's funny. She has a very unique way of speaking, and her laugh is crazy.
Her
and
laugh.
like,
Oh my god.
it's easy to make fun of her.
just imagine if the same thing that happens in 08 happens in 16, where Bernie just steals away the nomination from her. She's never gonna hear the end of it. I don't think she can ever run for president ever again.
She can't
She'd
run
be like
again.
Tom
this
Barrett.
This is it.
Just can't win.
Oh my gosh, sweet Bernie.
Do you think he's going to pull it off?
I think
Are you
he's
guys-
going to pull off New Hampshire. Maybe Iowa. I'm
Okay, it's
feeling
not that
more
much
and
of-
more positive about Iowa.
It's not that much of a surprise that he's gonna pull off New Hampshire. Like
No, that's
it's,
never
it's
been a
so
Yeah,
close
New
surprise.
to
Ha-
Vermont.
That
I
was
mean,
his
like,
state.
yeah.
That was the state.
If he has a strong showing in Iowa and then wins New Hampshire, which he's probably going to, it's gonna depend on how he does from there.
It'd be interesting to see like how it progresses after
Well,
he. if
before
he
we get
wins
into our
those two
Bernie
states.
segment, which is next, I just want to talk to you, Kyle. So, do you think Sarah Palin gets the evangelical vote for Donald Trump?
I think there's a certain segment of the evangelical vote that Sarah Palin gets. I think Sarah Palin is going to do very strong and say like the middle class evangelical vote, like what you can normally consider like moral majority kind of vote. I think that talking about what's been happening in the evangelical movement, I think there's a lot of evangelicals who are realizing some of the Republican Party's inconsistency, which what would be Christian teachings. And so I think that you're going to have a percentage of
Wait. So inconsistency is like Donald Trump's reading of the Bible,
yes,
which
exactly.
might
That
be,
was golden.
which I might have actually right here.
Well, like stuff
Wait a
like
second.
that. Oh, you have it.
I have it.
We're
Oh.
going to protect Christianity, and I can say that. I don't have to be
He's gonna
politically
protect
correct.
Christianity.
This is at Liberty
We're going to
University,
protect it.
no less.
You know? And I asked Jerry and I asked some of the folks because I hear this is a major theme right here, but 2 Corinthians, right? 2 Corinthians 3:17. That's the whole.
I thought he was going to start with a joke, like 2 Corinthians walk into the bar, and then and then got 2 Jews there too.
Such like it's Liberty University. You can't butcher a Bible quote there.
you know his response to it, like from the critics, was like, "Well, they wrote it as a 2 in front." Even if it was a 2, you still read it as 2 Corinthians.
I mean, it just shows that he's pandering to the evangelical.
Ugh.
I mean, he's probably one of the least religious people.
If
in
you
the
vote
field.
Oh my
on
gosh,
social
yeah.
issues and you're a Republican, like you vote on Christian social issues, and you still support this guy, I don't know who.
I
you
know
are.
people who do though. I know Mike
I
Huckabee
know.
supporters who are supporting Trump now, and it's this. I
It's
think
disgusting.
I think that what it is that there's this big fear of Islam for whatever reason in some stretches of the American Christian movement. I mean, you had Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son, who like issued a big comment supporting Trump's comments about registering Muslims, and like I mean that took me aback. But there's also, and you got to remember that the evangelical movement is not anywhere near as solid and cohesive as it was during the moral majority times. There is a big section of the evangelical movement that is now very concerned about justice, very concerned about social justice. I mean, at the InterVarsity annual conference over winter break, all the band members wore Black Lives Matter shirts and endorsed the Black Lives Matter movement and talked about us at the crew retreat at the Campus Crusade for Christ retreat in the Twin Cities. I did not go, but I had friends who went, and a big thing they talked about was racism, especially racism in the church. And it's something that a lot of Christians have realized that, hey, there is a big issue in America with racism, and we are called to be purveyors of justice and to stand with people regardless of their race, because we're all equal in God's eyes. And so I think there's a big segment of the evangelical movement that's not just coming from the traditional Protestant liberal, like, standholds like the Anglicans or like, the Presbyterians who are a little more liberal. I think that there is going to be some breakaway. I mean, I don't want to vote for Trump. And I
No.
would consider myself a very evangelical person.
One National Review reporter said on Fox Business yesterday, I'd rather spit in my face than vote for either Hillary Clinton or Donald
Well,
Trump.
you're voting for essentially the same person. At least with
Exactly.
Hillary, you know what you're going to get.
Exactly. Well, we'll be right back here on the American Pundits. And if you want to advertise right here, we have millions of listeners have access to our show. Just email us at americanpundits@gmail.com. Welcome back to The American Pundits on Facebook.com/The American Pundits and YouTube.com/The American Pundits, where you can listen right there on your computer and anywhere you want to go.
There's something missing. We don't have the WSUM.
Well, we are at the WSUM studios in Madison, Wisconsin, our headquarters, but...
Our headquarters.
Yeah, no, we're online only now.
WSUM studios.
We are in the studios, yep. The world-renowned WSUM studios.
Let's get on to like a different Madison radio. Let's see if anyone else
see
will
what we
hire
can
us.
do. Hey, we could do a morning show all summer
We had
long.
12 listeners on WSUM, and they decided to kick us off because we were just too controversial.
Wait, we had 12 listeners?
Oh, yeah.
I would
that's a
love
stretch, isn't it?
a morning show. You know how fun that would be to have a morning show with you
I'm not
guys?
really a morning
I don't start until 11,
person.
and I
No.
cherish my sleep now.
No.
They would only give us like a 4 a.m. like radio slot.
It's true.
I would do it.
It's all
I'd
we
do it in a
deserve.
heartbeat.
It's all we deserve.
Can I call in from my apartment?
Maybe. I mean, obviously a morning show would be a little bit different than this format, but, you know. Anyway, Josh has some news about Bernie.
Well, I mean, everyone's hearing about it. Bernie's in Hillary Clinton's rearview mirror, closer than he appears. He has a strong poll.
That was so clever. That was so clever.
Not original. There was a political cartoon.
Oh,
I saw
man.
that.
Oh,
Sorry.
come on, Josh.
Sorry, guys.
Hillary's just laughing
no, I
at
don't like
that
that. It's
for
so funny.
days.
Please stop. This is like,
You tell her to stop. I want her to stop.
okay.
Have you ever just listened to anything Ted Cruz has said and you're like making fun of Hillary
His
for a
comments on
laugh?
carpet bombing? I'm pretty sure carpet bombing is illegal.
No, carpet bombing is not illegal.
It's not
you can
illegal.
play it in
Frowned upon.
you can do it in Call of Duty. You can also do napalm in Call of Duty though too. I think napalm is frowned upon.
Oh yeah, 7 kills. I got napalm straight. Oh geez, that's illegal. Anyways,
I mean, one Republican candidate wants to end the Geneva Convention, so we might as well have multiple.
Bernie has a strong showing in Iowa. The caucus is there. It's going to be really interesting. I'm going down there next weekend to help with Badgers for
not.
Bernie. Yeah, I am.
You were not.
Are you really
You
for
were not.
Badgers for Bernie?
Yeah.
You were
Yeah, I'm going down
You're
next
not.
weekend for
Are you
Iowa.
guys tabling?
I don't know what we're
Oh,
doing.
okay.
I know I'm going down there.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting. It's
That's
a can't miss
amazing.
event.
Have
yeah.
fun.
Wait, next weekend?
Yeah.
You have to call in.
Oh, I shouldn't have said anything.
You have to now. I want to hear all these Bernie supporters. I want you
We'll
to
see.
be a live reporter.
We'll see.
Everything.
Man, think of how quiet and sad the bus ride back from Iowa will be for Badgers for Hillary if they lose.
Sure.
I don't know if the Badgers for Hillary are going to Iowa.
But I don't know. Hillary, I'm
Because
sure
the
is getting
Badgers for Bernie have gone like a lot of weekends to Iowa. They've been canvassing a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not that far away.
Yeah, true.
Think about it.
It's not like a
Might
New
as well
Hampshire,
be
New
a whole
Hampshire
different
trip,
country,
especially in
though.
the snowstorm. That'd be so
Iowa. Too much goddamn corn.
But yeah,
You're in Wisconsin, Justin.
We have cheese.
The
I'm
cows.
proud of it. Cheese and cows, I'm proud of
Less
We
that.
probably grow
cows
less
than,
corn than Illinois, though.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest.
You have corn at your state university.
That's true. Can't touch that corn. You'll be immediately expelled. The oldest
Who
corn
harvests
in the
it?
country.
Wait, do you harvest it?
I don't know who. I'm sure there's like a special person who deals
They
with the
feed
corn.
it to the football game, but they feed it to the football team before the homecoming games.
Oh, yep. It hasn't been successful, but
Sure it hasn't.
All right. Anyways, Bernie. Sorry.
yeah, Hillary has gone out and said that, we're prepared for this and that we have a plan in like other states other than Iowa and New Hampshire. But I mean, I would be nervous if I was Hillary because it's deja vu all over again.
well, you like don't want Bernie to get that kind of momentum if you're Hillary.
Oh,
You-
he has
you-
momentum.
But it's
though.
still
Yeah.
these first two states that are like
issue
overall
is-
white majority states. It's going
is-
to be more telling how he does in like South Carolina and Michigan.
Yeah, they have
the
both
road,
been
yeah.
just. I don't even
Well, yeah.
know.
You want to talk about pandering?
Catering-
The race for the black vote.
catering to the
Right.
religious black leaders of South Carolina. Have you been
Bernie
watching
should
that?
have
Oh.
more of a shot at the
I
at the black vote. I don't understand
Bernie
how
has
he's
had
not
such
appealing
a
to it.
problem with the black vote, and it's so surprising to me. But he has literally had the hardest time.
Has
with the
anyone
black
asked a
vote.
black person?
Who was his campaign? Who was spinning for him? It was a rapper.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
He had some like sit down with him in like some
yeah.
restaurant.
No,
so
but
he
was,
was
he
was it
was-
Meek Mill or
I'm,
no?
gonna,
Some
I'll,
Meek
I'm
Mill. Who
looking
wants
it up
Meek
right
Mill's
now.
How do you
endorsement
even
right
know?
now?
He was spinning for him after the debate,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
which was amazing.
Killer Mike.
Killer
Yeah,
Mike,
Killer Mike.
that's right.
So they asked him about like the black vote, and his response was so funny. He's like, "If you're black, go vote. You can't just go to 2 elections. You have to go to all of them."
Such a good point. though.
Yeah. I mean, Bernie was involved in like the civil rights movement, and that's a big point
For
for him.
so long.
and that Hillary was a
He's-
lawyer
he's-
on a campaign at the
I mean,
point.
he's
but
been doing it since Civil War. I mean, it's just,
he was
Wasn't
the
he a
abol-
general?
of the
He was in
American
the
Union.
abolitionist movement, you know.
You
He was
right
in
there in
the-
the picture with John Brown, right next to him, the other guy with the beard.
If you want to talk about someone who's been liberal from the beginning of time and who's never flip-flopped, it's Bernie. The man.
that is true.
I mean, Hillary was the president of her college Republicans.
Yeah, she was running a Republican campaign when Bernie was.
She was?
Yeah, she worked
was.
on a Republican campaign the same time Bernie was walking on the civil rights movement.
She was like
Wow.
gaining experience as a lawyer on some campaign. Like she's gone out and like commented on like what she was doing there, like why she wasn't in the civil rights movement. But still, why doesn't Bernie have the bill? He marched with, pretty sure, or in the same movement as Dr. Martin Luther King. Like,
Well, did you hear that Dr. Martin Luther King endorsed Donald Trump, though? So, it's an issue.
that's right. He
Jimmy Kimmel
credited-
had a thing.
Donald Trump like owed like one of his like record crowds. He's like, this is because of Martin Luther King or something to that effect. I'm gonna look this up, but-
Well, you see, okay, I think that Bernie will do really well in South Carolina because Bernie is probably got the most conservative gun policy of any of the Democrats running. And South Carolina is, like Vermont, a rural gun-owning state.
Bernie does have like
True.
the gun thing does look like his weakest point at any like liberal. That's what they attack him on is his gun policy because it's his weakest.
It's really
it's
stupid,
his weakest
though.
moment.
He has a D.
Yeah, well, so like
I mean, a D- versus an F. It's because his gun policies actually make sense.
yeah.
Like, I think his policies make a lot more sense
Hillary.
I don't mind Bernie's gun policy.
I still like his
honestly.
quote from I think it was the second Democratic debate where he's like, okay, we can scream and yell about this all the time, but we have to pass something and we have to
Yeah.
Right.
have sensible
Yeah,
gun
he's-
control legislation.
Stop.
Yeah.
The
I mean, I also think that
fear-mongering.
Bernie is. I mean, I think Bernie appeals a lot more to the white working class person. Than
I
Hillary
think he
Clinton
does. He has a very, his points are
Especially union members.
Oh yeah.
oh,
he
I
is,
mean,
like,
the
so
union
blue-collar,
is
it's not
him.
funny.
He is the union.
I mean,
everything
over
he
Hillary-
does is for the union.
I know, but over Hillary is what I'm trying to
oh
say,
yeah, that's what. But yeah,
there's more unions endorsing him right now. Than
I think it would
Hillary.
be easier for a middle class Republican to endorse Bernie Sanders over a similar person endorsing Hillary Clinton. I think if you look at what Bernie stands for, if he said at Liberty, if you can put aside his social domestic standpoints, on abortion and whatever, those kind of social issues, and just look at his economic plan, his plans are almost better for the working Republican.
Well, no, and I think that there's a lot, at least among
I'll
some
disagree,
Republicans, that there's a lot of resentment towards Wall Street. I mean, I don't feel especially happy about Wall Street. I mean, I think the financial sector's done a lot to hurt this country.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a sentiment that a lot of other Republicans who aren't the, business conservatives would feel and would vote on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes him a much more attractive option than Hillary in these states.
He has a good history of working with Republicans and bipartisan
Oh
bills
yeah, he sponsored
too.
a bill with Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, his massive veteran bill was a bipartisan bill. He worked with McCain, maybe McCain.
Probably worked with Jim Webb too, his best
Probably Webb. Actually, I think it might have been Webb also. Yeah.
So, have you guys been hearing about how Michael Bloomberg might be jumping in the race now too?
Yeah, I heard about that this morning.
What would he run
as
as?
an independent?
Independent
But is
Which
he
would
is
not
he
be
liberal or
good for
conservative?
It wouldn't be good for conservative.
or Hillary. There's
I
a
suppose,
because
yeah.
there's a lot of internal polling that people would definitely vote over because he's huge on guns, but he's huge on economic policies too. So I mean, if it was for example, if it was Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Michael Bloomberg, I would vote for Michael Bloomberg. I would.
It's a little late for him to be jumping in. I mean, it helps that he's running as
Well,
independent. but
independent,
still.
I don't think it
Yeah.
matters that much.
He has a
at this
lot of
point.
internal polling though that's been coming out, and he has a huge chance.
Maybe the Constitution Party actually has a shot.
Maybe Ted Cruz will join that one.
The Green Party is gonna make a showing this year.
Another thing I read is Hillary Clinton got the Human Rights Council or Human Rights, their endorsement,
No, yeah, I did see that.
which also puzzles me because Hillary was late to the support of same-sex marriage.
And
She
her
wasn't.
husband
I
passed
mean,
DOMA.
late in
True.
Flip flop.
in context.
Is that like the liberal way to say flip flopped late?
Flip flop isn't. I don't think that you can say she flip flopped on gay
Oh,
marriage.
she totally
she
flip-flopped on gay
flip-flopped.
marriage.
She was like.
She said we need to in the 2008 elections. She said we need to stand for traditional marriage.
Yeah, I guess.
So flip flop.
And
I
Bill
don't see
Clinton
it as,
passed
like-
DOMA. I mean,
yeah,
Thank you.
that's true.
Which is also just puzzling, like how Bernie isn't getting the support of some of these people, or how it's so troubling for him to get to appeal to minority voters or to
Both Hillary and Bernie have a massive problem with appealing to black voters, and their relationships with the Black Lives Matter movement has been so poor. I don't know why they can't figure it out, but both of them just
It's
having a
because
terrible time.
Black Lives Matter doesn't even know what they want.
Justin, we've talked about this, and we're not going to get into it.
No, I'm their structure just doesn't because even with Bernie Sanders, he doesn't even know. Hillary Clinton doesn't know. The two people who probably would help them out the most, they're even having bad communication back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
well, the issue is I think that we can talk about this more in a later segment, but I read a really interesting article in The Economist talking about how African Americans have been suffering under a cycle of poverty and repression in inner cities for a long time, and inner cities are usually run by Democrats, and it hasn't done much to help them. And so I think there's a lot of angst, and I can't speak to it. I obviously am not a black voter, so I can't speak to it. But I think that there's a lot of frustration in African American caucuses about the inability for the white liberals to help them out. Despite all the
I do
intentions
understand
they
that because
want
we
to.
tell them time and time again that we are the people who would do
Right.
the best to help them, and and it has been a problem. But poverty is a difficult issue. You can't solve it in
50
like
years.
unique
and that's
ways.
why
yeah.
I make the deal with Chicago is if they would just elect a Republican for 4 years, and if you don't get better, then you can have Democrats the rest of your life. That's all I want.
We have a Republican governor right now.
Yeah, a governor. But
Governor,
that's because
that's
most
way
of the
different.
state is corn.
It's true, and it was hard for them to get that Republican governor
Very much.
too.
Chicago's huge. Yeah.
Very hard. All right. Sorry, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about the racist Oscars, and I have a clip from a Fox News host on the satire show that they have at 2 a.m. I'm gonna start that off first, and I want to hear Jenna's response because it'll be quite interesting, I think.
Fox News has a satire show.
Red Eye at 2 a.m. Central Time. All right, we'll be right back on the American Pundits.
On Thursday, Will Smith became the biggest Hollywood star to say he wasn't attending the Academy Awards because of the lack of minority nominees. Conservative response to the whole Oscars so white thing has ranged from the sneering to the indifferent to some kind of utterly bizarre comparison between the BET Awards and the Oscars that I just don't understand. But let me suggest that in reality, conservatives should be empathetic to what black filmmakers are saying. Why? Because they make similar arguments. How often do conservatives talk about being underserved and overlooked by Hollywood? How often do conservatives complain that movies they like, Lone Survivor, American Sniper, 13 Hours, don't get enough recognition from the Academy? Don't conservatives say, I'm not watching the Oscars because the movies that get nominated don't represent me? And don't conservatives argue that the Oscars aren't even the real problem, that the real problem is the people who run the studios being liberal and making liberal movies? Well, substitute white for liberal, and that's pretty much exactly what Spike Lee said earlier this week. Sure, conservatives can argue correctly that ideology and race are two different things. And black people can argue correctly that the legacy of blackface, step and fetch it, and decades of being typecast as drug dealers, gangsters, etc. raises their issue to a whole other level. But ultimately it comes down to the same thing. There's a sameness to many of the people who make movies, ethnically and ideologically. And if that doesn't change, nothing else will.
All right. So that was Andy Levy on Fox News this last weekend. No, this last week. Talking about the Oscars. He actually was an Oscar voter for many years. He's a Jew, so that's probably why.
Oh.
Joking. Joking. You would understand if you know Andy. Anyway, Jenna, you have this article about the white Oscars.
I do.
What's your thoughts on that kind of philosophy?
I mean,
I think he made some pretty good points there.
I don't think he said anything I would disagree with. I don't think that you can sit
I'm
there.
not trying to put you in
I
a
don't
corner.
know,
I'm just curious on your thoughts.
I to be honest, I was a little surprised. I didn't know that the conservatives had recently or ever had a problem with the way that they were represented in the media.
Oh my God.
You should get a satire show, Jenna.
It's just very surprising to me that you guys would say something like that. Thought we've been very fair with our liberal media. So white Oscars. The problem with this year, so it's the second year in a row where we have not me because I have no power, but like
Well, you are liberal, so it's kind of just the whole
the Academy.
situation.
The Academy has nominated 0 people of color to the Oscars. There are no person of color in as a nominee, which last year was less of a deal because there weren't that many movies of substance that had.
Selma.
There was Selma, but like there were, and Selma were
It
only
wasn't-
white people nominated for
I
Selma
heard
too.
Selma wasn't very good.
Yeah, Selma wasn't that great.
I
was
liked
okay,
Selma
wasn't
was a
it?
good story. The movie might have lacked a little luster. I think they portrayed it well. It was a way that like it had never been portrayed before. But so like there was Selma. This year, however, the problem being is that we had Concussion, we had Creed, we had
Star Wars.
Straight Outta Compton, Star Wars. And if you look at Straight Outta Compton as a movie about gangster rap, almost every single one of the characters in that movie is a person of color. The story's based on people of color. And they nominated 2 white people. Creed, the only person they nominated was a white person. The only white person in the movie.
What about Beasts of No Nation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Idris Elba, I think he should have gotten.
Yeah,
but I haven't
no
seen
one,
it, but I
no,
heard it's
no one
incredible.
from that. And so you stop and think, like, are they being snubbed? Are they? Because there were people who deserved to be nominated. There were not people who there. It's the argument is that if there aren't people of color who are worthy of being nominated, we shouldn't nominate them. But this year that was not the case. And so it feels very, very institutionalized racism situation. So like that's my take. I think that they're
Do you-
right to boycott it.
Do you agree to with Spike Lee, who wants to like set quotas though?
I don't.
I've
personally agree with
never
that.
been okay with quotas. I don't like quotas for women in the government. I don't like quotas for like anything. Quotas that never serve to be productive. Like
because it's like not real representation.
if you
it's
like
enforced representation.
there are good
Exactly.
examples of it. They do quotas for women in government. There's ones in Mexico, and time again, it just serves to corrupt.
Well, and
And
how
when
bad do
you-
you feel if you feel like, oh, I was just fulfilling quota?
I mean, I don't care about the feelings of the people who are nominated, but like,
no, I mean, like if you're like the one black actor, let's say there was a quota, you have to have at least one, and like, you know what I mean, like in any job.
Yeah,
even.
or like
you don't want to
oh,
have that
the
feeling.
what is it? They're Grammys, right? I don't watch award
Golden
shows.
Globes,
Gold-
the last one?
Oscars.
The
They're
Oscars?
Oscars. Right, and the
yeah.
Oscar for Best Actor of Color goes to. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a terrible thing to
Right.
have.
Right.
yeah, I mean, like time and time again, it serves to corrupt. And when you promote quotas, you don't promote what you like actually want, which is you want diversity in media and you want people of color to be acknowledged for their accomplishments. And when you start installing quotas, you're going to start nominating people who don't deserve to be nominated, and it's going to serve to like undermine the actual issue, which is that we don't have good representation in media. And like he said
Wow.
that I don't care
Confess?
about like white people being represented. I think
Talking about conservative
been fine.
ideology.
Oh, your poor ideology. It's fine.
Well, and like, okay, I'm going to agree with Jenna here in saying that I think that this is an example of a systemic issue. This is not something that quotas can fix, of course.
Yeah.
Quotas can't fix this because it's the idea that, certain actors deserve it more than others. These like actors of color are not as good as like other actors. That is what this is projecting, especially with the nature of an awards show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the thing that's really kind of sad about this is, and this is something I've thought for a long time, name me movies where the main character, the protagonist, is a person of color and the movie is not about the fact that they are a person of color. It's hard.
Good point.
There's a couple. And there's some actors that are better at than others. I would say, Will Smith does a good job at that. Denzel Washington does a good job of where he can be the black main character, but it's not about him being black. And you had a lot of movies this year where that was an important part of it. Like Creed and Star Wars specifically, they had a black main character, and the whole movie wasn't about like, oh, gee, wow, they're black.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie was
Exactly.
not about that, which I think is so important. Like obviously, like there's a lot of stories that are very endemic to like the black experience, and those should be told. But I think that there's something that's saying like, oh yeah, we can only have a black person in a movie when the story's about being black.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a big leap when they like. I know when they were recasting Spider-Man, they were considering actually Childish Gambino, Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. They
Yeah.
weren't actually, but
Yeah,
there was
like-
a media
there was a
campaign
movement
for
it, but
him
it's
to
just
do
like,
it.
why
Yeah.
is that such a big thing? Why can't we have Captain America be black? Why can't we have James Bond be black? I
Right.
don't see them as just like this white British spy or this
Right.
white superhero. Like,
And it comes like back to time and time again, like media representation is important because there are like little kids out there who look at the media and they don't see anyone who looks like them. And when they do see someone who has the same skin tone as them, they see them portrayed as, like they said, drug dealers and gangsters and people
Or-
who are felons.
Or even the typecast of the sidekick.
Yeah,
I mean,
or
you
the
see black
sidekick,
people in
or the sidekick,
in
yeah.
like superhero movies, and I think superhero movies are a good example because that's what kids would watch. But they're always the sidekick. Falcon's a cool character, but he's Captain America's sidekick. War Machine is a cool character, and cool that he's in the military, but he's Iron Man's sidekick. And
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of dangerous. So it'll be interesting to see how Black Panther in this latest Marvel movie is going to
Yeah,
portray
yeah.
how that changes things.
Move past like some of those stereotypes, hopefully.
and then one of the reasons behind Straight Outta Compton not being nominated is that it's a controversial movie. It's about like NWA. But I mean, have you seen Wolf of Wall Street? Like that was nominated for Best Picture. Leonardo DiCaprio got a Best Actor nom, and that's not a great moral movie when you think it's awful.
Oh, God.
And
Right,
the
yeah.
story it's based off is like a story
Yeah.
of classic American greed and white person taking advantage of the system.
Well, and like the Oscars usually love these kind of movies. They usually love these controversial movies.
Yeah.
You're never going to see Star Wars nominated for,
No.
Best Picture because it was a successful movie that people liked. They usually like to nominate movies that, were a little more artsy, were a little more ethereal. Like, I mean, Her, I don't think Her is a great movie. Some people thought it was an excellent movie. I just thought it was kind of weird.
it was super weird, yeah. Was super,
but like
super
that's usually
weird.
their like the Oscars
That's what
kind
they
of
like.
bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Straight Up Content, it's probably one of like and that and Creed is like one of the greatest snubs to like black actors, in that like there were so many people of color who worked on that movie and starred in that movie, and they nominated 2 white people for it, and it feels very deliberate in the mythology, even if it might have not been to, but it points to like an institutional problem.
So do you think this is a problem with the Academy itself, or
I
do you think
think-
this is a problem just with white Hollywood culture in general?
I think it's white Hollywood culture. I think that if you look at the nominations, the Academy should have known better when they should have honestly, they should have known. Someone should have said, like, this is a problem and we've created it. But I think it points to a larger issue. I think that Hollywood, which is our greatest, like our biggest export, is like a fundamental problem. We have a fundamental, like, institutionalized racism problem.
Not even just racism, like the pay inequality between like
woman?
actors and actresses is ridiculous.
It's the biggest in the world. And it's an age problem too, because like older actors will do way better than older actresses.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Because, like, that is very... See, I thought you were going to go just there with older actors make more than younger actors or something.
No.
Well, that makes sense. But that's kind of crazy. And when you think about it, there's a lot of really old actors that are still in high demand for movies.
I
There's
mean, you
not a lot
talked
of
about
old
Star Wars. You can
actresses.
talk about it. So Harrison Ford was in the new Star Wars, no problem. He looked fine. Carrie Fisher, right? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Got so much flack about how she'd aged.
Yeah.
And no one ever says anything about how Harrison Ford ages. No one ever talks about how Clooney looks. Like, and if they ever do, it's how well they age. But like, people will criticize women over and over again about how they age because men like are expected on. What did Carrie Fisher said? I thought it was very nice. It was like, women are not allowed to age. I don't know, something about that.
Well, that's very true because you see, like, the examples of... You see it all the time, and I don't watch a lot of Hollywood, like, news media, but you see it all the time, like, oh, so-and-so's 65, and I can't believe she looks like this. Like, I think there's kind of a grace in aging, but you also bring up a very interesting point in the sense of, George Clooney is old. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is old. They're allowed to be old because there's a kind of romanticism to, like, the older man as a character.
Yeah.
There's not that same... romanticism about the older woman as a character. I mean, Betty White is probably one of the oldest actresses still doing work, and her roles are pretty much entirely as comedy.
Yeah,
They're all
they
comedy
have
about,
to
oh,
be.
look at the gross old woman.
Yeah. And it's very telling when you look at when they play couples, they get couples to play in movies, and you look at the age of the man, and he's normally like 56, like 60, like whatever, 45. and the woman is almost always 30 or below.
Oh yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is in a movie that's going to come out like the next year where she is a grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't cast like an older actress; they went with Jennifer Lawrence. I'm assuming because of popular demand.
I was gonna say it's hard. It's hard because of the name recognition. All because the
But
general
why do you
audience
think there's
does not
so many
go.
young actresses that have name recognition where there are almost zero older actresses who have the
See,
same
I don't know, but what I'm saying is
recognition.
name recognition is a big part of it.
Sure,
too.
but I think it points to the problem.
I would agree that there's like more of kind of like there's a lot of complicating factors. It's not just like so and so makes this much, so and so makes that much. This is an issue. Like I think that there's probably an issue there. I think there's a lot of complicating factors that make it hard to solve an issue like this. But I think that one, like going back to the kind of the general topic about movie culture and like acting in general, like I think it's very interesting that there are a lot more male actors than actresses, like when you think about it. And I think that might just be because of like the genre of an action movie. You generally wouldn't star female characters.
But like, why can't you?
I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm not saying you can't, but like a movie like 13 Hours, you're not going to put a ton of
Sure.
female characters in just because they weren't there.
Well, I mean, that was a true story. But
Well, and like that's the thing.
But I'd say like if you look at James Bond, you see like the same type character, and the woman is always like unbelievably hot. She's got all these weird skills, and no one like wants to talk about how she got them. And like she always plays as the romantic interest and does almost
But
anything
see,
else.
that's where I have issue with it because then you're changing the actual story that it was based off of. Like if you're making an original production, you can go and do whatever
sure,
you
like
want.
James Bond is
But
a
James
unique character,
Bond-
but there are so many movies based on the James character or James Bond like typecast, that like idea that James Bond the spy, and
Which
so
is-
many
right.
movies follow that like
Yeah.
exact formula. And so like why have we not written one that's opposite?
So I guess here's the question: how do we change this kind of Hollywood culture? Because I feel like Hollywood makes occasionally a movie to say like, "Oh, look at how progressive we are,"
Like
just
like
to like
12
have
Years
this
a
Yeah,
Slave,
yeah.
or
They
42.
They do it exclusively.
It is kinda
for the-
pandering,
Yeah,
kinda.
it's pandering. It's look how progressive we are. Look, like we can.
I mean, but they're definitely liberals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like, how does this change? Like, that's my question. Is like, so we've seen a problem. We've addressed that there is a problem. How do you change the problem?
I think it's a difficult issue because like they're there to make money, and I think the minute you start messing with those formulas, you make less money and it becomes a problem.
See, I don't know so much about that though, because a lot of the films that like the Academy really likes are not films that make a lot of money.
That's
Yeah, but
true.
it do-
yeah,
but
but
people
Like
don't-
Star Wars, you could say is the most progressive film that came out, and it made a ton of money.
Yeah, but I don't think. But movie studios do not go for the awards. They go for the money first.
I think the majority there are movies. Movies are made, and when they're made for the Academy, they're made for the Academy, and that's what they're catering towards. And like actors sign up for those movies, and often they're paid less because for those movies, and they do it because they want the awards and they want the recognition and they need the name, so that their name gets out there. But I think that the majority of movies that we are making are not going to the Academy. They're being made to make money. They're mass media productions.
And I think those movies
Well-
reflect more what general American culture is, whereas the Academy movies represent more what Academy culture.
I would say the
Yeah.
majority of movies. I would say majority of movie studio like movies because there's a ton of independent movies that no one ever.
That's
sees.
true. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a difficult issue. It's hard to address. I think it's like a society thing.
And I mean, at least the
Systematic.
Academy, one of the Academy heads, like acknowledged that this is a problem. And I mean, I don't know what she's gonna. I think it was a she. I can't remember. The person said that they were gonna try and address the issue by including more diversity in the Academy itself. But I don't know.
I mean, the hard part is once you say, though, you want to make an attempt to include more diversity, it instantly trivializes the diversity that you add. Because it's
Yeah,
instantly
it
like,
does.
oh, well, this is, what we're doing so we don't get yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is,
It'll be
really
interesting
sad.
to see the nominees next year, like just resulting in the backlash that they had this time around.
Do you think, okay, so I guess this is a good question, too. What do you think about boycotting? Do you think that this is the right decision to make? Do you think this is maybe a step too far? Do you think there's a better decision to make?
I think it's a powerful, I think it's a powerful statement, and I think it's one that should be made. I don't think that like black actors should stand for what has clearly been like injustice towards them at this point. And I think that like by boycotting, they're making the stand that like they do not want to participate in a culture that doesn't respect diversity.
But it needs to be taken a step further. I know Mark Ruffalo was thinking about boycotting, but then he decided he's going because the movie he's in highlights the sexual abuse scandal like within the church. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah,
Spotlight.
yeah.
Periscope?
Spotlight.
Spotlight.
And so he's going, but he says, I support this boycott movement. But if they're, I mean, I think it's on more of like the winners to really reference it in there, like in their 10 seconds of like TV attention,
Right.
where they can say, also, in addition to thanking all these people, this is a problem. Let's fix this.
Well, and like I think that the danger about the whole boycott thing, and I think it's hard because like what situation can you make? But I think like the danger of it is, you know, you're having black actors and actresses actively remove themselves from this award show. I don't think that necessarily. I think that there's a danger that could translate into perpetuating this because, you know, it's going to make the awards more white in every sense of the word if there's no black actors.
Well,
there.
Chris Rock is hosting it, right?
And that's very
So
interesting.
we'll see what
I
he
think.
does,
Yeah.
and I think he'll set the tone of the show, and then if he makes it an issue, I think people who get the awards will make it an issue too.
And I
Neil
think-
Patrick Harris last year only made like a very small joke about it, where he's like, we're here to
That's
celebrate
right.
the
Oh,
best
yeah.
and
But
best
he
and
did
whitest,
bad last
best
year.
and brightest
Yeah, he
event.
bombed.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about just a quick recap of our predictions with Iowa coming up in just over a week, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the American Pundits, right here in Madison, Wisconsin, broadcasting to you. Oh, hey, Josh.
My headphones almost went out. Okay, I'm good.
Well, we've been having a little bit of technical issues here and there, but it's our first show of 2016, and with 2016, there will be election. Oh, and great news, Kyle. Less than a year until President Obama's out of office.
Do you have one of
so
those
that's good.
calendars? One of my roommates has one of those calendars like that starts in 2016. Like,
No, but I get an email notification every day.
Ooh.
That's hilarious.
But Iowa's just around the corner. February 1st is when we're going to be jumping into the first primaries. Kyle, predictions.
You want us to do both sides? or you
Yeah,
just
both
want-
sides.
okay,
Both
okay.
sides. Let's do both
All right, we'll
sides.
start with the Dems. I think that
Are we talking about Iowa?
Iowa
Iowa
first.
and New
Yep.
Hampshire.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that Sanders wins them both. No, change that. I think Sanders wins New Hampshire. I think Sanders narrowly loses Iowa.
Okay.
Very narrowly.
All right, Josh.
Same with me.
Same.
Yeah.
So
I
So-
hope he wins Iowa, but I think he'll have a strong showing, but fall short in the end.
okay, so we got okay, so we got Iowa. You got Hillary,
Bernie.
Bernie.
My boy is gonna do it.
I hope that I'm wrong.
My boy
but-
is gonna do it. I have faith in him.
I'm gonna agree with you guys. I think Hillary will pull through Iowa still, and New Hampshire. I think we're all gonna say Bernie. I think we all said
It's
that.
Bernie's.
That's-
It's been
that's
Bernie's
definitely
from the
Bernie.
beginning.
It's definitely Bernie. All right, the Republican side, Kyle. Where do you see? Who's gonna pull it through? Jeb Bush?
Trump
I wish. I
Trump
wished.
will win Iowa. But
Really?
Cruz will have a strong showing in Iowa, prompting Carson to drop out. Trump will also win New Hampshire, but narrowly.
Not
and
John Kasich?
John
I mean,
Kasich
he's-
will come in second.
Okay.
I think Trump in Iowa, and then I really don't know with New Hampshire, but probably Trump, to be honest. Unfortunately.
Trump and Iowa, Kasich in New Hampshire.
Ooh, they're like a 20-point difference right now, but
I think it's Kasich.
That's
think
what
I-
Bernie and Hillary were at.
But like we're 10 days out right now, and if you look
yeah.
at the 2008 election, 10 days out, things changed.
True. I think it's gonna
Dramatically.
Be I think it's gonna be Cruz in Iowa. I think the Iowanians. I don't know what they are.
The people, the
Iowanians.
noble
people of Iowa.
the corn.
The corn people.
The Prairie Warriors.
Prairie Warriors. There you
I mean,
go.
Glenn Beck's gonna be there this weekend, so I think that, and he's polling for Cruz. But so will Trump be. Trump will be there. So I don't know. I think it'll be Cruz, Iowa, Trump, New Hampshire, and John Kasich just needs to leave this country.
You know what? I like John Kasich.
Give John Kasich. Give him.
John Kasich is the antidote.
He's like
to
that little
everything.
puppy that just like
Yeah.
Give
he's always
him
always
one
biting at
state.
people's ankle.
Give him one state.
He has Ohio.
I did not like
That's
John
true, he
Kasich
has
very
a
much
while.
at first, but I don't know. I think he might be the antidote to what is afflicting the Republican Party currently.
I just feel like
I'm
your party
serious?
needs to find
Rubio.
an electable
Are you
candidate.
serious?
I am
You have
serious.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie is an
Bernie Sanders.
electable candidate.
Unfortunately, an electable candidate.
He is an electable candidate.
We'll see.
I don't know.
Come November, we'll see.
Look at those polls.
Well,
I
Josh
believe
will be
he's
in Iowa
electable.
next week, so you might not see him or hear him.
Oh, he'll call in.
he'll
But
be
we
calling
might
in.
still have him call in, give us a ground report on the Sanders campaign. Will you
Interview your
meet
friends
Bernie?
for
Will
us.
you meet Bernie?
I don't know.
If
What-
so,
what will you
get him
do?
on the air?
I want to
my
get a
God.
picture with Bernie.
Get him on the
honestly.
air.
Oh
We'll
my
have-
God, meet Bernie. My life would be complete.
What would you say to
Have him
Bernie?
sign your forehead.
Oh
what
my
would you-
God.
I had met him in a dream the other day. It was like really weird. This is super like okay, liberal, but like I met him in a dream and it was kind of odd.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
He's just
Generally
like
odd.
the grumpy old
If you're
man
gonna meet
we
any
all
candidate, though,
want.
it's probably more likely you're gonna meet Bernie. I mean, he flies coach. He
Well-
flies coaches like to show.
My
that he's-
neighbor-
Like a
Neighbors.
literal coach, like a horse fucking coach, right?
My neighbors flew in front of the
Bought it
entire
original.
Obama family when he was still a
really?
senator in Chicago.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That is
he
really
was
cool.
right behind them. They took pictures. It was amazing.
Did I tell you guys I saw Bill Nye at O'Hare in Chicago?
What?
Oh my God.
Bill Nye.
Bill
my
Nye.
Did he
Yeah.
drop some knowledge
With
on
his
you?
private
Took a
jet.
picture with someone. He wasn't wearing the bow tie.
Oh,
The nerve.
But-
the
it's
nerve
Bill,
of
it's
some
not
people.
Bill Nye then. Like,
It was
my,
Bill Nye.
My chemistry teacher in high school was the smartest lady I've ever met. She had a degree in biology, physics, and chemistry. And like she had met Bill Nye like 7 times. Like
Ew.
she was just always invited to Bill Nye events. And like she's like, yeah, I hate him. He's literally the worst. And I was like, why you gonna do that to me like that, Rooks? Why are you gonna do
My
me
boy
like
He's very
that?
self-absorbed.
He is very self-absorbed.
How do you not be at that point though? Everyone loves you.
Well, you haven't done anything
I
for
don't love
science.
You have
except
hordes
educate
of
people.
school children after your
Just chanting,
soul.
Bill, 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 Bill.
Bill Nye, the
This guy,
science
this guy.
guy.
Anyway, what will you say to Bernie if you meet him this next weekend?
Hello,
That's it?
I'm a big fan.
I don't know.
Well, I already met Ted Cruz, so I think I still got a poll for him.
You
for
met
everything.
Ted Cruz?
That would make
I
my
got a
s-
picture with him. I
That'd make my
shook
skin
his hand,
crawl.
talked to him, everything.
That's true. He didn't curse you for the next 4,000 years.
What?
He's
All right.
not a wizard.
As far as you know, has anyone proven it?
Has anyone
if
proven
anyone's
it?
a wizard,
Oh my
it's
God,
Bernie.
the liberal
I
media is coming
declare
over.
he is a witch.
Oh my God.
He turned me into a newt.
A newt.
I got better.
I don't know what the reference is, but
Are
this
you
is.
Oh
kidding
my
me?
god!
All right, this is the American Pundits you're listening to, broadcasting live from Madison. You're not listening to it
Off the
live.
grid.
But anyway,
Madison.
we're off the grid. Go to youtube.com/The American Pundits, facebook.com/The American Pundits, or email us, AmericanPundits.com or AmericanPundits@gmail.com if you would like to advertise with us. We have millions of people who can listen to us. So,
I love that loophole.
That's
great
an
loophole.
understatement.
Great loophole.
It's actually billions.
Billions. It's huge.
It's
Just
gonna be huge.
Huge.
Yeah, we're done.
so you're listening to The American Pundits.
I feel so offended whenever you do this, Justin.